roll it into a rope and tie a knot in it. And that's a much more professional looking bread roll than trying to shape a round, which tends to look all wonky.
And not roll.
And if you want to do a Kaiser roll, it's the same dough, but you roll it longer. And you tie the knot, and this time you've got kind of strings. And the one that's hanging out underneath, you just pull it up and push it into the centre. Then you turn the roll over. Hanging out underneath, pull it up, push in the centre. And you get a rosette. And then you just have to decide whether that's the pretty side or that one. And that's the way up it goes.
And they need to be left to rise
They
again?
Absolutely have to rise.
Okay.
If you want to do a French stick, take 3 pieces of dough and roll them out into a rope. 3 ropes. And you can see I'm rolling with strength, not dainty. Push some serious weight onto it, or it won't roll out. And you line them up next to each other, in about the same length. But you don't plait from one end to the other. You always plait from the middle to the ends. So what I do is I braid, not plaiting, which is going underneath instead of over the top. So the middle one you just lift up and you flick the outside one underneath it. Swap places. Swap hands, lift the middle one, flick. Lift the middle one, flick. And it's just flicking the outside one underneath the middle. Then you turn it around. And without thinking about it, go back to the hand you started with and lift and flick. We have French stick tins, you sit that in so that it will hold its roundness. But in the sourdough world, they do baguettes with a thing called a couche cloth. So it's a piece of linen, and they line it up with some flour on it.
Couche means bed, doesn't it?
Couche means bed. Yep. You're putting your little loaves of dough to bed. But what you do is you pinch the bread, the cloth up between each one. So then you might put a second one next to it and pinch the cloth up around that one. So they pinch them up and have little beds for all of them. Then when they've risen, 20 minutes or so, they might roll them off that onto, like that board I had before.
The peel.
Usually they have a really skinny board, like a piece of fencing wood. And they just roll that on, and that just slides off onto the floor of the oven and kicks up from there. That's baguettes. Usually done like that. Is someone bringing a fancy bread for parties and things and barbecues? You want to show off, really. And you can do this with yeasted bread as well as sourdough. Mostly I do it with yeast. So what you do is you spread that out and then spread a flavouring on it. You don't really have a name for this. If you're being really crazy, you call it the Baker's Delight twist, but I know one family calls it roadkill because they have sons in their family, and of course boys call things that look a bit ugly bad stuff.
Oh, but it tastes so good.
Yeah. But being invited to dinner to roadkill is a bit of a worry. But if you happen to have any of your pizza bits left over, and a few more than what I've got here would be good, but gives you an idea of what you do. goes in the middle. Olives and anchovies and whatever. And you can do this with sweet things as well as savoury.
It would be nice with cinnamon and plumped up sultanas or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
And apple and custard and a few other things. There's a few ideas you can try. Then you roll it up into a Swiss roll. And where did we put the scissors? No. So you put it on the tray you're going to cook it on, because what you have to do with something like this is let the steam out. Because we've wrapped wet stuff in there. And what will happen when it goes in the oven is that steam will create huge bubbles. And it actually squashes down all the stuff that's inside and creates this hollow all the way through it. So you've got to let it out. And the easiest way is with scissors. So you cut and push it in opposite directions. So then you sprinkle extra cheese on. Usually I spray that with water and then sprinkle cheese on.